Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House, and welcome, Robert. And I
Thank
can't
you.
help but notice we have people growing in the house, and we have
Good to know.
Folkaholic in the house from X and various platforms as she documents the world. And I have to say, good morning, Folkaholic, special guest. She's amazing, documents the world. Hello, Barry, and hello, Global, and Alex, and Linda, and the Climate Crisis Club, and Nefris. It's everybody from the Climate Crisis Club is here.
Hey,
This is
so good.
fantastic, Robert. It's great. We are live
Wonderful.
on YouTube and X today, shared to
Yeah.
all the other platforms, but only live on YouTube and X. And Jesse Singletary, good morning to you, sweetie. It's great. People are joining. I'm so excited. So, Robert, you're a special human being. You're a
Bless
special
you,
guest.
Sandy.
And everybody, Robert is not very used to being on, live. So he's working this. He doesn't have anything. He's holding his phone, so his arm is gonna hurt and he's probably gonna get arm cramps, but it's okay. We are so happy to have you, Robert. It's just
Thank you.
fantastic. Can you I will be quiet now, even though I'm really excited. Can you please tell everybody who you are? And I will say we met through the Climate Crisis Club on X because I listen every Saturday all day while I'm doing all my chores, housework, and everything else. And I hear people from around the world like you. Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Sandy. Great to have everyone joining us. I'm Robert Redmayne Hosking. I'm indeed a climate, environmental, human rights, political facilitator, commentator,
Put your phone
activist.
back just a little bit.
I think
Okay,
I
there we
might
go.
need.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and as probably everyone knows me from this X platform, indeed, I'm facilitating a global campaign, an ongoing one, to bring truth, honesty, decency, reality, and understanding not just of the climate and environmental emergency, but to facilitate a political and social and economic cleansing of everything that needs to be changed globally across our planet that is completely unfit for not just human consumption but human purpose. I think my biography from being on this X platform, I'm sure everyone that's joined us here knows indeed what I do. Having been here since January 2018, a facilitator of truth and justice. And I continue to lift, or should I say, increase the way that I bring this facilitation of truth and honesty on a global stage platform on a daily basis. Because I will put it like this: the establishment continues to want to dumb every single one of us down who are decent, honest, and indeed want the truth to be told. So, there is much here in play. There is much needed to be discussed. We will always have conversations that are of the most vital need for 8+ billion people on our planet. And
Absolutely.
it is without doubt the facilitation of truth here. It's not an option, it's a necessity. Because if we don't have that ongoing global facilitation of truth, we have absolutely nothing. Indeed, I will ask you, Sandy, if there's anything you want to interview me about while I
Well,
say these words.
how
Please
did
feel free
this all get
to.
started? Like, what do you
Yeah.
do? What's your hobbies? Like, what do you do for work? Tell us about a little bit about you personally so we can feel you. And are you in your pajamas, most importantly? Because
I'm not in.
oh, that's right, it's late there. But I am, and
It,
they are flannel because last week somebody said, you need flannel pajamas. Well, this week, guys, I'm in flannel pajamas. Yahoo.
yeah.
But Robert,
What I
tell
will
us
tell you.
about you, personally
Okay.
first, so we can learn who
All
you
right.
are.
Yeah, let me tell you about me. Okay. You know my name. You know what I do on this X platform. I am passionate about the environment away from the camera and this platform. I live and breathe the environment and have done for 52 years on this planet. Indeed, when I'm away from not doing this work here on this X platform, Indeed, I have worked in horticulture and landscaping. I worked in hotel and catering. I've actually worked in sales as well. Not everyone knows that. And indeed, I have had to spend copious amounts of time looking after a mum who's incredibly frail at the moment, away from the work scene, as I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
knows in my situation, who's 89 and very poorly. Got speaking about what I've had to dedicate a large, copious amount of time for as I am now. Um, my work situation has been all encompassing over the decades, and indeed continues to be one that how can I put this, continue to negotiate round in terms of giving time, energy, and effort to. Landscaping has always been a passion of mine. I know Alex knows this only too well, and will continue always to be so. My hobbies, as you so rightly mentioned, Sandy, are numerous. There was a time when anything mechanical was something of absolute massive interest to me. Not so much these days because I've always had that facilitation of reading books by the bucket load. When it comes to environment, indeed, everything to do with environment and ecological matters. There's nothing I like better than to get my nose, proverbially, if you will, in a good book on any given subject or topics about plants, flora and fauna, forests, and indeed everything to do with environmental matters. I enjoy greatly getting out into the great outdoors, nature. I love the woods. I love being out there within the flora and fauna and species and environments and listening to the very heartbeat of nature itself um, across the landscapes. So, walking is a great passion for me. Um, Indeed, reading is a great passion for me. I do enjoy when I'm not away from doing the environmental stuff, which has become something of, I will say, on this X platform since 2018, I've become almost welded to certain extents with the work that I do to continue to facilitate truth and justice. But I do have to take myself away from this platform, as you know only too well, Sandy. You can only do so much on this platform when you have
Yeah.
to take a break from it. And I do need to facilitate that level of being able to do that, which I do. But hobby wise, indeed, also interested in art, in culture, in history, in geography, in planetary affairs, in astronomy, in design. You name it, really. And I'm a big, passionate lover of music and jazz, light music, and music indeed, that spans the generations back, indeed, I will say, from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. Not so much modern music because it really isn't. I will say that to my taste, really. But I will say that, yeah, when it comes to jazz and comes to film music as well, massive passions for me, as Alex knows only too well from me speaking about jazz and jazz artists from indeed the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s as well. So a lot on the hobby scale there for you, Sandy, and what I actually enjoy doing. Um, but yeah, I'm very interested for you to bring me questions of which I can actually, hopefully, you might want to talk about American policy. We call environmental policy or lack of it, or political policy, or politics around the planet. I'm sure you'll want to
Yeah.
interview me
Oh,
about that as
sure.
well.
All right. Well, my
Yeah.
first little question here is, since you are or were primarily on the X platform, and
Yeah.
that was prior to Elon Musk buying it, what
Yes.
changes, because I know, I mean, especially, I mean, we're in the climate crisis club, but what changes have you seen that
Mm.
have made more challenges to the message of the climate crisis club? What changes?
That's an excellent question, Sandy. I do want to take that in depth. It is without doubt on this X platform. There have been changes to my mind that have been totally detrimental to the way that good, decent, honest, functioning people are able to facilitate and function this platform. Um, I will say that I believe a dumbing down across the board, thanks to Musk's influence on this platform, has been absolutely self evident. I do believe that there have been more bots, more trolls, more blanket covering of propaganda, dictations, lies, and dumbing down in the entirety of the climate and ecological emergency by any facilitation necessary by the establishment.
Mm.
I know probably you see this every single day yourself. And I will say that when we have talked at great length about the establishment, there is nothing that they will leave, proverbially, with the stone unturned in order to suppress truth. We are at a massive pinnacle of disablement of honesty on this planet like never before, in my opinion.
Yes.
This level of dishonesty is all encompassing at every level. There is not any part of our systems, speaking about the American systems alone, within your political environments, your economic environments, and your social environments, um, is I just I couldn't see for a minute then because I had Alex's message coming across my screen. I do
Leave
apologize.
Robert alone. We
I
are
couldn't see a
live.
damn thing.
All in
I
fun.
couldn't
All
see
in
a damn thing. I'm sorry about that.
no.
The social facilitations that have collapsed within your beloved America, Sandy, are all encompassing at the moment. It worries the hell out of me how far your democracy, or shall I say this, Sandy, if I may, I know
You
you don't
may.
mind me going no holds
No,
barred.
I told
But,
you, go for it.
the fact of the matter is that within your beloved America at the moment, the political landscape has no semblance of democracy attached to it. There is no justice for the people in any entirety. Unfortunately, the White House facilitation,
Mm.
if I can describe him as the indeed the orange turd, of which I will use those words because I'm
I
afraid they have to
my favorite.
facilitate. Yeah, is all encompassing. His entire mechanisms within his governing principles of that Republican Party and the White House facilitation is rancid to the core. And we both want to, in terms of seeing Trump and his collective administration removed as soon as humanly possible. But I realize that we are living in a problem here of which we have Trump facilitating lies and turning those lies into an ability in order to bring what I call policies to the very core of every single part of that Trump administration.
Yep.
Policies which are absolutely dedicated to lies and the facilitation of lies to the American people. And that is intolerable to my mind. It's a total sickness. And it's something, indeed, that I'm incredibly passionate about, as I think you can probably get the message from the way that I am discussing this. Um, we talk again about the Musk platform. I don't want to digress because I do want to keep on topic with each question you're asking me. The Musk platform
Mm-hmm.
on this X platform, indeed, it's one that's worrying. It continues to worry me. The takeover, indeed, of the platform, I think, continues to cause massive disadvantages for users on this X platform that want to engage in truth and honesty and do not want to be bound up with propaganda. Because one of the greatest ills on this X platform, as I know you found yourself, Sandy, is unlimited propaganda from situations that are continuing to play out. And this propaganda is being force fed a very apathetic and comatose and gullible public, which continue to be so. And it does worry me greatly how this X platform can be steered for future credibility, if I can put it like that, in terms of not just credibility, but in terms of future availability to be able to continue to have a platform at all of where you are not bound up completely and utterly by propaganda tactics to the very extremes and extremities of all the systems within this X platform. So, in answer to your question, I'm trying to actually be as all encompassing, as deep as I possibly can do, in order to get to the very root cause of what I think is part and parcel of the what I call there has been a facilitated slide in how can describe this, a slide in the decency of this X platform and so many levels. And I hope this kind of answers your question on what
Hmm.
I feel is the ongoing situation here on this X platform. There are a lot of things involved here, a lot of forces that are in play, if we can put it like that. But I
Absolutely.
do that. I believe, Sandy, that we can rise above the difficulties that are on this X platform. But I believe we have to have facilitators that are prepared to move heaven and earth to remove the toxic facilitations of others of this platform. Because there are a lot of climate deniers on this platform, as we know. There are a lot of people that are paid a lot of money in very insidious ways to completely dumb down the truth on everything at every conceivable level. And we know who these people are that consider that continue to facilitate lies. We know how toxic they are for the greater good of us as individual people, and we know what must be done in order to remove these individuals from having the power to be able to be all consuming of bringing that blanket coverage of lies. So, a little bit of answering your question there, but you carry on and we'll answer. I shall answer more for you if I can do
Okay,
on
well,
what your thoughts.
for those of you that are on X watching, thank you, and we are also on YouTube. So for the YouTubers, Robert is he is talking to the X people because that is where the Climate Crisis Club is in a space on Saturdays. And yes, everything you said is true, and I see the chat here in YouTube is quite involved in this conversation. Just to reiterate, Robert is new to streaming and being a guest. So, those of you, it is the message and the camera. We're just going to have to realize until I showed Robert this is what he needs. That's all he
I
needs
know
is
it is,
one of those.
Andy. I know it is.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it is.
So, it's all good, everybody. Okay. So, as we get on, now we're talking about the rot in the United States and the dangerousness and the bots because it's a lot of bots too, a lot of programmed responses that are swooping in on things. But I think for the benefit of our American audience, tell us about the political situation in the UK
Mm.
and what's happening as far as the climate action. I mean, that's where Roger Hallam Extinction Rebellion comes from. And, give us a little bit of that too.
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Sandy. It's a great point to get this continued on to. Um, the political scene in the UK is one of disbandment, chaos, anarchy, dissolvement, and a total lack of responsibility yet again across the board. I'm afraid to say that Keir Starmer and his administration are not fit for purpose within our halls of Westminster at the moment.
Mm.
I've noticed this for a long time, and the fact of the matter is that unfortunately, I will say the honest truth about this, Sandy, that consecutive governments across the decades in the UK here have been. Well, I continue to just look away because Alex, we have another message on the screen there from Alex. The
Alex,
consecutive
knock it
situation.
off. This is live.
The consecutive situation in the UK is one, I'm afraid, Sandy, of complete abandonment of what I call responsible politics in the UK. I will put it like that to you because when it comes to the people, responsible politics should be the very moral fiber and moral and ethical fiber of a nation. And I'm afraid to say that it is not happening here in the UK. Oliver sees this, of course. We know my good friend Oliver Gill down in London, our stonemason, the Climate Crisis Club. He knows, sees it himself, I'm sure, that the fact of the matter is that we do not have politics that is fit for consumption for the UK people, never mind about the global time frame of things. But I will put it like this: UK politics needs to be able to be cleansed, like many other things, to be fit for purpose. Because unless it is fit for purpose, it cannot be able to serve the people in the ways that it needs to, not just now, but for the future. I'm very worried, Sandy, about the future of UK politics. I'll tell you why. Because I was having a conversation, albeit with DM, with a friend of mine, Chris Packham, the wildlife guy, as I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you know him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was speaking at that briefing, which is much needed. And I did say to him that these briefings should have been done decades ago, of which he wholeheartedly agreed, in order to have what I call mandatory emergency briefings with climate scientists on live TV, not just in the UK, but across the entire global fabric of every single city and town on Earth. We have been denied this because of the establishment, but we know the what has happened here. We know who is responsible for facilitating this silence, and it is indeed um, a silence that we are paying for the most direst of prices on an ongoing basis. But getting back to your question about politics, of which I want to keep on topic here with it, I will say that politics in the UK is extremely worrying for me, extremely worrying for many people, and I can tell you why in many guises. We have a party in the UK, which I'm sure you've heard of, Sandy, called the Reform Party, with indeed Nigel Farage, who are absolutely deadly and toxic, is my belief. And of course, Chris, I was talking to Chris about this. Absolutely deadly and toxic for any semblance of democracy in the right ways for the UK people, and indeed on a global world stage platform. These individuals must not be able to form a government, in my opinion. We really would be. I won't use the word, but I think you know the word I mean. We would be the proverbial if we had reform in. And indeed, we are pretty near to that precipice now with Starmer's involvement. I'm sure that you know, Sandy, that Starmer's stance on the climate is that he has been very much a disbeliever of scientific data and research on the climate
Unreal.
crisis. He's been a disbeliever of climate science. He has been a disbeliever of the climate emergency. I find that intolerable. I cannot believe that any member of any government, be it a prime minister, a president, or any political member at this stage of dissolvement of our planet's climate, can be a denier of it. You have to be mentally insane and unhinged to deny what is going on a global world stage platform, with the sheer amount of data and the sheer amount of extreme weather conditions, of which you see yourself, Sandy, every single day playing out from the tip of Canada to the tip of Australia. It's fundamentally of the greatest importance that those in the heady cocktail states of power finally, once and for all, have to face up to the reality of what we are facing here. It is, how can I put this, the most direst of situations of which we, as a human species, have ever had to take on board mentally in our brains. I understand why the normal man or woman in the street is so unable to get a grip on this, because the word terror does not, how can I put this, does not adequately describe the level of situational dismay, disarray, dissolvement, and abandonment that we are seeing across our planet at every consecutive level. We are seeing community after community dissolve underwater, as we see. We are seeing community after community either dissolve with drought, with starvation for millions and billions, and we are also seeing community after community dissolve with wildfires. If that isn't absolutely, or should be, the most important, pressing, communicative, and vocal topic that's ever been put out on a world news stage platform, then I do not know what is.
Oh.
And the fact of the matter is that we indeed know, both of us, ourselves, and many others, of course, in the club and out of the club, we know only too well that every single media outlet on earth, with every single camera that is able to be facilitated in front of media that exists right now as I say these words, is not being used in the right contextual ways to bring the level of emergency to the global people, of which they rightly deserve. They do deserve the truth. They must have it. I continue to facilitate that truth no matter what it takes. But
And well, you do. And Robert, you know what's the underlying foundation of all of this denial? Greed. Speak a little bit about what you think the underlying foundation is as the climate collapses and we see ecosystems collapse and all of this, which is unbelievable that it could be denied right in front of people's faces.
Yeah, I'd be most happy to do that, Sandy. It's indeed this facilitation of how can I put this abandonment. Um, uh, as you just repeat those words again, because my audio wasn't as good.
Okay, I want you to talk about greed and
Thank you.
I mean, to use a scientific term, the etiology of
Okay,
all of
the
this.
ideology of it, yes.
I mean, it's almost like we're in a psychopathy, age where the leaders of these countries, and it's not just the Western world, but the Western world is glaring. But give us
Well,
that kind of
yeah.
information because you're so well spoken about it, about our
Well, thanks,
predicament.
Sandy. You do say
Thank
the
you.
kindest words to
Well,
to an
it's
aging
true.
bloke. Um,
It's true.
oh well, thank you so much. Blowing you a kiss there back to you for that. I thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, greed. Now let's just say this, that greed has been one of the major driving forces and facilitators for the entire economic fabric dissolvement as we know it on this planet at current time. There is no other way of describing this. We have traded human life. We have traded our children's and our grandchildren's lives. We have traded nature and every single entwined balance of our ecosystems and the ecological fabric of our planet for profit and greed and driven greed at every, how can I put this, perceivable level. It has been, we have facilitated greed on this planet that knows no bounds. Even now, as we have a planet that is hotter than it has been in 100,000 years, we are breaking every single record known to mankind with the scientific and climate data that continues to be facilitated and brought to us in clear contextual terms by the world's gifted climate scientists. And at the same time, we are seeing a complete ongoing abandonment of responsibility, an ongoing abandonment of economic policies which could save 8 plus billion people if they were able to be facilitated and put in the right ways forward within every single government on earth. So to say that greed is now a driving force is an understatement. It is one of the dominant forces that continues to take us over the abyss, if I can put it like that. And we need to be able to rein in this incessant mentality and mindset of thinking that possessions and wealth and dollars in the millions and billions is the only thing that matters on this earth at the expense of every single ecological and environmental norms of what Mother Nature gives us on her bounty. Because
Absolutely.
we do not rein this sickness of the mind, of which it is, it's become that. I know that I'm pretty sure that you're with me on the mental sickness that has taken hold
I'm with
of,
you. And it's
of,
also
of
led to consumerism. And that
yeah,
is what Moon Man, he put in the comments. Consumerism is much to blame also. But it's not, you can't even blame so much the consumer. What do you think about,
absolutely,
tell us about where you think
yeah,
all this the greed or
absolutely.
has led to us being where we
Let me
are?
put it like this, Sandy, that I believe studying consumerism over the decades, from let's take this up from consumerism after the Second World War. If I start there,
Hmm.
because before then we had a semblance of rationality. I will say I won't go crazy. I'll say a semblance of rationality. I will put it like this, that after the Second World War finished, and indeed we had that rejuvenation of the human spirit on a global basis,
Yeah.
on a global scale. What happened was we had a rebirth, not least in the UK, but in America and indeed globally. We had a rebirth of mindset. We had a feeling of such utter, total, and unequivocal relief that we were not in a world war anymore, that we wanted to build. We wanted to look to the future. We wanted to look to prosperity. We wanted to look to the economic dream, if you will, not just in America, but across our entire planet. And that economic dream was driven by wanting to build not just houses, but wanting to build communities, new communities, wanting to build wealth, possessions, attainment, indeed, uh, money systems,
Mm-hmm.
indeed, the facilitation of big business. Everything that comes with nations globally wanting to restructure their abilities to rise above the proverbial ashes, if you will. So that facilitation of possessional gain and wealth was a new mindset. Now, if we go back again to what happened as we were rebuilding in the late 40s across our planet after that war, and we rebuilt heavily in America, America had indeed that precious American dream of which has continued or needed to be continued to be held onto, not under this Trump administration in any guise, I grant you, but the fact of the matter is, the American dream in the 50s was a golden era, as you know yourself. It was a golden era of prosperity for Americans. They had the money, they had the ability to have cars, to have kitchens, kitchen appliances, indeed, to be able to buy a home, things that they had never been able to really achieve on the levels of which they were able to in the
Right.
1950s. That applied to, indeed, the UK as well, and I would imagine other parts of the world, which are how I describe to be um, uh, what I call economically viable. I just realised that my camera had moved then, so I
All
do
right.
apologise.
If I do this, just
Uh, yeah,
I'm giving you that little tip so we don't look up your nose.
I know, I do get you, Sandy. I do. I try not to move the damn
It's
camera. I
okay.
really
I've
am.
been doing this for a
Um,
very long
yeah,
time. I
no,
have had guests with exactly your setup, with sophisticated setups, with everything in between. And I have to say, your audio is great. Thank you.
thanks,
Okay.
Sandy. I do
So,
appreciate it.
as we are
Yeah,
talking
well,
about this, everybody's very excited in the chat about what you're
thanks.
talking
That's
about.
good. Yeah. I will carry on with that. I'll tell you what it was, Sandy.
Carry on.
I was so involved in the conversation that I forgot I was moving the camera, to be honest with you.
I
This
knew
is what
that would
happened.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But this facilitation of wealth, it was a very precious context in America in the 50s and 60s. And I will put it like this: that even in modern America, we want that the American people want to be able to facilitate a level of sustainability and wealth for their children, their grandchildren, and rightly so. They're hardworking, decent American citizens that deserve to be able to have a safe situation of being able to attain a safeguarding um, with their families and their communities. They do not deserve to be under siege by a Trump administration. But this is what happened to America. This is what has happened to America now. It is under siege by Trump and the administration. We know this. But going back to your question, of which I do want to keep on topic because it is vital in the grand scheme of things. I will say that this facilitation of wealth has been building and growing. What I call, in obviously the built-up Western world, this enablement of wealth has continued to perpetuate through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. It's had its highs and its lows. Indeed, in the 1980s, of course, much discontent, discord. Indeed, that does touch and ring true for the 1970s, not least in the UK, of
Uh,
which you probably know the discord and discontent of the 3-day working week in the 1970s, with strikes aplenty and everything that went with it, power shortages, poor build quality on cars in manufactured outlets. In fact, completely savaged communities that were either deeply in debt, deeply divided, or had absolutely no ability to sustain their families at any conceivable level. So we had all that to contend with, and I know America has had its fair share of these problems over the consecutive decades. Coming back to that wealth, integral wealth grant thing again, I will put it like this: that I believe that each decade has had its own mark, has made its own mark on the fabric of indeed built up nations. What happens now is something that I think, will be decided in many ways if we can. And I will put it like this: if we can rise above this need to facilitate individuals that are nothing more than psychopathic maniacs within political institutions,
Yeah,
um, I think,
that's about the word. Yep.
yeah, because this is what we are suffering from, not least in your beloved United States of America, but we are suffering this in so many regions across our planet of leaders who have not just dissolved and denounced moral fiber, moral character, ethics, and responsibility, but they have denounced having any responsibility for the people who they are supposed to be safeguarding and governing. I mean, it is absolutely rancid, isn't it, Sandy,
Yeah.
that we have an American president here
Rancid
that is dissolved from responsibility for the American people in all the right ways.
for
It's
everything.
totally and utterly intolerable at every single level. And I will say this, I've said this before, I will say it again, that one of the greatest problems is that not only have large amounts of the American people been duped in their entirety with what they have been told by Trump and all the administrative propaganda that is attached to the facilitation of the Trump administration at
Yeah.
every single level. And there has been so much of that. We're talking about people here that are within the political organizations, and indeed what I call the facilitation of marketing of politics. Because one of the greatest
Ah.
problems, to my mind, today is we have what I call an obsession with marketing and manipulating politics in all the right ways in
Oh,
order for in order for people to think that they are being given the gold chalice in the hand, where
absolutely.
indeed they are actually being given stale bread
Yeah.
in
So
both
well
hands.
said. So well
Thank you for
said. My God, that I mean,
um,
it really does nail it.
this is one of the major human, mental human fallacies that has gripped our societies, not least in America. We have seen this playing out because this facilitation, indeed, as I said, I will use these words as well, which are very good for it. The American people have been given burnt offerings. There's a film of that nature, which was a horror in 1976. I do urge everyone to watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. But it's a horror film. I know I'm digressing, but I do love my
Go
horror
ahead.
films. So I will say that those words, burnt offerings, are what Trump and his administration are giving the American people hands down. It's what my own Keir Starmer here in the UK is giving the United Kingdom people. We are
Mm-hmm.
having burnt offerings in their entirety. We never stop having them. We have indeed here, we have allowed. Now, this is something that's incredibly difficult to be able to what I call maneuver out of, and I will ask these tough questions. We need to maneuver out as built up nations from facilitating people and putting them in power, be it prime ministers and presidents, that have absolutely no semblance of collective responsibility to do the right thing for democracy and the moral fabric of the children and the people, and indeed the adults that have voted these characters in the first place. There's everything to be gone over here with a microscope like
Sure.
never before. And
So,
anyway, yeah, carry on, Sandy.
oh,
Don't let me
I no,
keep
I want to
interrupting.
ask you. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you've laid out beautifully what the predicament is, and a predicament very often tells us we really have no. It's a thing that we have no way out of. But if you were, and I'm going to ask you this, if you were to have hopium, so to speak, or you were to see, yes, you're illustrating, but what can we do when we are so far down and people say, well, collapse is coming? No, I'm sorry, collapse is already here for
yeah.
millions of people around the world, including in the United States. So take that one, chew on
Great
it.
question, Sandy. Yeah, thanks so much, sweet. It is a question that needs to be discussed in its entirety. It needs to be what I call facilitated on an open microphone like this, like never before. So let's do what needs to be done here. Um, We need, as people, to feel like we have some semblance of grip on the what I call the dissolvement of our ability to feel that we're connected with our communities, that we have any participation, not just with our local communities, but with our national communities. As people, we are feeling weak, we are feeling tired, we are feeling exhausted, and we are feeling mentally compromised by politics that has no semblance of responsibility attached to it.
Right.
My feelings are that the global people now, like never before, must make absolutely certain that they are not duped or hoodwinked or indeed vote in characters of which we have had the ilk of and continue to see that facilitate open denial of democracy at every single level. I think as people, we must now look at local elections to
Mm.
try. Now, this is a hard one.
Hmm.
I know it's a hard one. With the state of the situation, you might well say to me, Sandy, well, local
Oh,
elections, I have no faith in them.
oh no, no,
But
I do.
that's
In a
good.
small local where I live,
Yeah, yeah,
I see what the people have voted in. The same,
yeah,
Trump supporters, whatever. It's very red here, but people are
yeah,
starting to change, and I see a lot of pockets of activism even in this community. And so it
yeah,
can make a difference. I think that's where we make a difference is locally. I mean, the big picture is
absolutely.
overwhelming, but maybe the local one isn't. And that's talking about school board, just like they did on the
Absolutely.
nefarious right wing here in the United
Yeah,
States. Well, it's
absolutely.
called fight back for as long as we have the fight.
Yeah. Oh, you're completely right. The right wing in America is as toxic and evil and insane as it ever was. Suppressing that evil intent is a full-time job in itself. Never mind about anything else. But I believe that indeed I am with you completely, 100% wholly, that local elections can be pivotal turning points of turning rancid democracies that have no existence of any democracy around. I think we must, as American citizens, speaking of American citizens, although I'm not myself, obviously, I do believe that I have every faith in the American citizens to be actively involved in your local communities, with your elections, your ongoing elections at every level. And I urge every single American citizen now to get on board, even if you've never voted or got involved in anything to do with the survival of your communities or your further national communities. I urge you to get out there, make the difference, make the right noises. Use your voices, your actions, your characters, your decision making, your auras, and your ability to connect to make a difference within those local elections and everything that you do.
How
It
do
is
we get
absolutely.
people, though? I mean, here's a comment. I'm going to have to put it up because it's what I think.
Yeah,
Right wing is still brainwashing to people to keep them in a cult. So, Robert, in your estimation, how do you get them out of a cult? Is it purely what I'm
yeah,
seeing is economic? Is it only economic? Make them they're becoming so not make them, but they're becoming so uncomfortable that maybe that shakes them out of the propaganda sphere, and it's got to happen in the UK because I know that Canada has maple MAGA. I mean, it is, and of course we see the big picture as it's leaning to total collapse of the ecosystems and polycrisis and all that. But really, do you see this? Do you see a mechanism of helping change belief systems?
I do indeed see the facilitation of being able to have that. Is it a question of mindset and a question of controlling one's actions and mindsets to achieve the greater good? Those that are involved in cultish behavior, tactics, and actions, I believe they can be stepped out of it. The reason they are in that in the first place, let's just take MAGA for a minute.
Yeah.
And the
Let's
fact that
not, but let's not.
no, but you know what I
We're
mean.
gonna flush MAGA
I'm
today.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to make a comparison. I'm trying, I'm trying to make a comparison with what are cultish actions, and MAGA so does it,
Ugh.
doesn't it? Um, the fact of the matter is that the indoctrination of those within the MAGA cult, of which it undoubtedly is, it is a dangerous, evil intent of ideology that takes over any semblance of responsible actions, mindsets, or intent at any conceivable level. It's indoctrinated with denial on everything from human rights to ecological and climate matters. Let me put it like this, that those individuals that are involved in that cult, of which there are many cults across the planet. Let me say this, that these individuals can be guided and steered, if I can put it like that, away from this cultish mindsets and ideologies. If they are guided and steered to understanding that the very ideologies that they cling onto and possess will actually remove their infrastructures piece by piece, will remove their economic wealth piece by piece, will remove their ability to continue to allow their children and their grandchildren to live piece by piece, will remove any semblance of democracy that they care to want to think they can attain under that cultish idealistic bubble of drivel that they continue to hang on to. All
Wow.
of
Yeah. Drivel.
them, all
Cultist
of that, yeah.
ideological bowl of drivel. Okay.
I'm afraid to say that
I'm
every
visualizing
single,
it.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, dear, it made me laugh. I did.
well, it's
I'm
listen.
afraid to say,
It's so
yeah.
serious that we have to interject every now and then, Robert.
I know we do. I know we
And
do.
you
We,
are
we
an
do. Sandy.
articulate commentator on our predicament, and so just a little bit.
We have to delve into a little bit of lightness if we can do. I agree with you, because if we don't, we are in a we're in a bad place now. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
we need to delve into a little lighthearted if we can, in order to keep our sanity.
Yes.
Because if we don't keep our sanity, we really are completely and utterly
I hear
gone.
you. Really quickly, I'll interject because I know you didn't know this channel years ago when I had a partner named Jennifer Hines. And we did a show every Friday night for years and years on the Arctic, on permafrost, on, global temperatures, on everything. And it was quite in depth, but we interjected with humor and personal, connection, even if it's online like this, because this is where we are. And we had people actually comment, how can you laugh? How can you laugh? How can you laugh? Well, that's when I realized people have to understand a collapse acceptance, so to speak, so they can laugh to feel better, to release steam, to release tension, and understand that it's just a natural human thing. And I wondered why, do people want us to be on screen and just cry? Because then what is that doing? So
Exactly.
a little
Yeah, yeah.
laughter every now and then. Thank you.
I completely agree with you, Sandy. You've got to have a little bit of humor attached to always dissolvement of, because we have too many tears here. There is too much upset to be for the human heart, as us as mere
Right.
individuals, to be able to contain.
Exactly. And
It
we
is
we find our
absolutely,
ways to get out. And that's like my channel, like space. Maybe the
yeah,
audiences aren't humongous, but it's like I always say, it's our the quality and not the quantity, and the message. So I think you're doing a very beautiful job at articulating the message. So we can circle back and get back into uh,
yeah.
getting, if there's a possibility of getting out of people. I mean, in the UK, is there cultish thinking as well? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
what do you see
absolutely.
there? Because we all know in the United States and Canada is witnessing firsthand what the dysfunction here. So give us a little bit about the UK, and maybe juxtaposition what's happening here in the US as you see fit,
Yeah,
because that's where we
absolutely.
live.
Yeah, absolutely, Sandy. I'd be glad to. The
Thank you.
fact of the matter is that we have our cults over here in the UK very much, with with different names, obviously, and different characterizations of intent. But the result of these cults is the same, I'm afraid. They want to turn the dissolvement. They want to dissolve decency and democracy, and they want to replace it with darkness and anarchy. And We know only too well that those sort of situations continue to dissolve the fabric of our nations with with a voracious appetite, if I can put it like that. It's something we continue to see in my homeland of the UK. Cultish actions, I'm afraid to say, have been under very many circles part and parcel of the history and fabric of the UK nation. We have indeed. I mentioned about Reform earlier, didn't I? As a party, they are a cult. In many
Okay.
respects, they are fascist.
Mm.
They are indeed, they are anti understanding about the climate and ecological collapse. They do not believe in climate collapse. They don't believe in the climate emergency. They believe actually that climate change is a hoax. And of course, we all know where that gets individual people. The fact of the matter is that there are many cultish organizations, I'm afraid to say, that have been well tooled and honed propaganda machines that are still alive and well in the UK. But it is up to us, individual people,
Right. We have a
to,
lot of work to do.
yeah, absolutely.
And
To,
why not? What have we got to lose
well,
but the
this is it,
planet?
Sandy. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my
It is up
message.
to us as individual people to put the definitive kibosh on these cultish tactics which continue to persist in all their what I call insidious glory, because there is a lot of it about. And I'm afraid to say that actions that are taken up by these cult organizations in the United Kingdom are all encompassing. They're deadly. And we are facing a precipice of difficulties in the United
Yeah.
Kingdom thanks to actions which continue to try to dissolve. And you notice I use that word a lot because it is so needed. Dissolvement is happening everywhere. We are in the greatest struggle here of darkness and light, in my belief, that the human species has ever seen in its
Really?
existence.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
I feel
I
that
do.
way because we every other through history, all of the wars, all of the vicious fights, all of the hardships never had a catastrophic climate event attached to it and a catastrophic ecological destruction
Absolutely.
of our everything on the planet like the
Absolutely.
Amazon for example. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a fundamental part and parcel to my mind, and I do hope that every individual citizen, no matter where they're from, no matter what their skin color, no matter what their tribe, no matter what their language, can understand these words that I share here, and hopefully these words I share with you here on this live show, Sandy, can be reverberated out on a global stage platform for as many people as
Well,
possible
you
to
certainly have the voice, the message to carry it. I really do believe that. I feel that way about the way you articulate the crisis uh and you don't sugarcoat, but you're also not giving us these fake solutions either, you know.
not, not,
But let's move on to a little bit away from the hard political, but to talk
mm,
about the things. So what we do locally, but we talk on the Climate Crisis Club. A lot of people talk about their different. Well, I don't love the word solutions, but they're different ideas for making the environment more habitable on on this lovely Titanic we find ourselves on. Well, and not the planet, but everything else.
yeah,
Uh,
no, yeah,
well, but
yeah.
give us that feeling or idea of how we manage this.
Okay, well, there are many ways and methods, but to my mind, first of all, we have to keep upbeat in the face of darkness. We have to realize that no matter how bad any of this gets, be it the dissolvement or the perceived or trying dissolvement of human rights justice, the trying, or shall I put this, how can I put this, the intended, now that's the word that I want, the intended dissolvement of our entire ecological and environmental fabric of our planet, together with everything that holds us in place with the bountifulness of Mother Nature, its intent, the actions of those in the establishment that have that power facilitation are absolutely dedicated to our inability to get through this. We must make absolutely certain, no matter what it is, no matter how dark it gets, no matter how bad we feel, we must be upbeat, we must be committed, we must be dynamic, we must be forward thinking, we must be diverse. We must be integrally connected vocally to be able to bring those proper solutions that are already here. We must continue to lift those solutions and make them work no matter what it takes. I'm talking about solar and wind and the proper solutions that go along with those. I'm not talking about the fake climate solutions of all the
Right.
usual
Yeah,
that is brought out.
like big carbon
But
capture machines that are
exactly.
ridiculously
I am completely, I'm
ridiculous.
not with carbon capture. I never was and I never will be, because to my mind, it is a facilitation of the establishment to waste even more billions and trillions of dollars and to pretend that they are doing what's necessary to get on top of this climate emergency when they are absolutely, all they are doing is lining their own establishment
Mm,
pockets yet again with more dissolvement of indeed our climate, which is indeed continuing. I'm afraid to say, to be shown. But getting out of this, Sandy,
mm, 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 mm.
revolves around us being more committed mentally, I think, and more stronger mentally than we have ever been in our entire lives. It's a tall
Yes.
order, but it has to be. We have to stay committed and
That's
united.
how I feel.
You
Even
do feel like
on my worst days when I feel like total shit, I still am
absolutely,
trying
yeah,
to be involved in something,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
I just feel like if everybody, well, a lot of people, I mean, in my sphere obviously are, but if other people then could feel that beyond their necessities. I know in this country, there's a lot of people that just are not able um,
Yeah,
to even think about becoming involved in anything because they're just trying to make a living to get by to pay their stinking rent that keeps going up
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
utility bills and food because they've been lied to and they're continually being lied to about an affordability crisis, which is insane. So, uh, this is important. Everything you're saying is important. It's but
Yeah.
you're very articulate at it. Um, well, continue on.
Okay, Sandy, be glad to. As you probably know, that the time span of this show is not enough for me to communicate the
It's
depth
okay.
of
We're going
intention.
to an hour and a half. It's Sunday morning.
Okay, that's good for me. As I say, I know you'll
Okay.
tell me when you have other things to do with, the nailing on the head of this live show. Indeed, it's all about communicative efforts like never before in global history. I've spoken many times of the fact that I am a facilitator of truth, and I want to be known. I'd like to be remembered as a beacon of honesty and truth on this X platform. I sincerely hope I will be. The
I would
fact of the
say you
matter,
are.
thanks,
Probably
Sandy.
get me
You
kicked off
do
of
say,
YouTube. No, I'm
you do
kidding.
say the kindest words, sweetie. I do
They
thank
probably
you
won't
for that.
monetize this or but
And
by
I
the
do
way,
want to
I
say,
don't monetize during the live chat. I never monetize a live show, at least yet. I'm not that desperate. Well, I'm pretty desperate. But anyway, I don't monetize a
I do
live
get what
show.
you mean. Well, I know
I
what you
don't
mean.
because I don't want to
Yeah.
bother everybody in the during the live show because frequently they're so heavy and so, a lot of meat in these shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is the
I do
way. It's
get
a
what,
gig
yeah,
economy, baby.
I do get what you mean. I will also say, Sandy, that I'd be only too delighted to participate in as many live shows as you want to put up with having me on.
When you get
So
your camera
you'll have,
stand.
when I get my
Yeah.
camera started,
Yeah.
yes, it would be a
All
facilitation. I
right.
need to get there. I need to have one to be able to flatten things a bit. But going on into the conversation, um, we will talk about the fact that you mentioned about how we must move heaven and earth with what's being befalling us. The public, we need to get the public on board like never before. This is a perfect opportunity for me, honestly, to put it in these terms that I believe that we need to completely repurpose the way that we communicate as environmentally conscious individuals like you, like me, like everyone within the Climate Crisis Club. We need to repurpose how we communicate with the public
Mm.
like never before. I'll tell you why. Because the thing is, the public, whenever we talk about anything to do with the climate or environmental or ecological matters, the public think about environmentalists as people who are nothing more than either getting on a trawler or vessel, or gluing themselves to something, or dismembering something. And I'm sorry to have to tell you, but I do not believe for one second that that is going to be able to achieve the global change that we need
It
across this
hasn't.
planet.
It's a part
Exactly.
of it. It's a
It's
part
a
of it,
part of it.
but it's not
It's a
the
part.
only strategy. And you're
Exactly.
obviously
And
going to tell us that.
I'm exactly going to do that because I have seen the actions of the strategies of these individuals and organizations for decades. And the fact of the matter is, will I grant you that they have done excellent work in their own spheres and their own abilities within their contextual, how can I put this, with the boundaries that they have in place. They
Mm-hmm.
are merely some of the strategies. What I'm proposing now, I did mention this a little bit actually last night in the Climate Crisis Club, if I remember rightly, on the live space, in case my mind has not slipped the ability to recall the
I don't
information,
think it
if you.
has. Mm-mm.
But I will say that we need now fresh strategies that are totally fit for the communicative purposes of the uphill struggle that we now face with communicating to 8+ billion people on this. We have the challenge of challenges in our own lifetimes. We have the ability right now, while we are living and breathing, as I say these words, to get right out there right now and communicate with people like never before. I tell you, in my mind, this is one way that I believe that we can do this
Okay.
right now from day one. Our communication prowess can be built on the words that I'm sharing now. Let's communicate with the global public, not as speaking like environmentalists or data analysts or climate scientists, which scare, although as great as they are, don't get me wrong, they scare the general public away from wanting to engage in talking about this ecological and climate and planetary emergency. Let us instead communicate with members of the public who we must never forget are just ordinary men and women going about their ordinary business with their ordinary lives, that do not want to feel that they are overburdened with the scariness and the terrifying nature of what is befalling them. Of course, we need to be able to give them the ability to understand the gravitas of the situation, I grant you. Of course we do. But at the same time, I believe if we put to them the way that we talk about this entire emergency, if we talk to them in ways that they can feel that they have a lever with, a leverage with, ways that are able to be relevant to their own given situations within their communities, without being overbearing, without being blinding them conceptually with too much climate science which will turn them away. My belief is we must communicate with them in the way that they would communicate with their own individual selves as people within their communities. Instead of blinding them with an overburdening of what I call complicated vocality, I think we need to be able to talk to them along the lines of this. And these words, to my mind, come to mind. When we talk to members of the community, we must explain to them under no uncertain terms that they are in the darkest of times for the ability for their own given situations to come through this. We must explain to them that if actions are not forthcoming in all the right areas, that their own families and the ability for them to continue to bring up their families, their children, and indeed their grandchildren, and for them to actually hold on to their possessions, to be able to hold on to their house or even their car, are in the balance. And these are things that have never been talked in this way before. You will
Mm-mm.
not hear anyone from Greenpeace or from other organizations talk about this like this. We need to communicate with people and tell them what they are going to lose personally if they don't make the altered changes. because what they are going to lose personally is in the direct firing line every single day. As I say these words, they are going to lose their homes, their cars,
Yeah.
their possessions because of the climate and environmental emergency, with
Right.
wildfires, of course,
Yes.
with flooding, with extreme weather events
Okay. You
playing.
have to bring that in because you'll get called an alarmist. You will be met with the denial. It's going to be
Yes,
it's a hard
yes,
road to do this
it
communication.
is.
And you're right.
I
It
know
has to be
it,
done delicately. So when
it does.
I do talk to people, and I do a lot employ a lot of the tactics you are talking about without big science because it's a personal thing. It's relating them that maybe hasn't been through an experience of flooding, fires, and extreme heat and death and all that, and giving them the visuals, just like
Yeah,
people in this country saw what's happening over in the Middle East. You know, without getting down that rabbit hole because right
yeah,
now
yeah,
we're not equipped in
yeah.
this show. But yeah, this is good. It's a start of a way to
It's somewhat of a way
have
to
this.
express our
Well, have a
intent.
template. Have a template, Robert. I mean, it's a template you're laying out.
It is actually, Sandy. It is very much a template. Well, I couldn't see them because I had Vidal a message from Vidal on the screen, so I do apologise about that. It's a template of actions and intent, of vocal intent, Sandy, which needs to be manoeuvred and put into place like never before. If we do not have these fresh new ways of being able to communicate with the public, we cannot hold on to the usual tactics, the usual actions, the
Right.
usual vocal intent, the usual ways. It's not going to function at all. We need to have a fresh template, a fresh communicative mantra, a fresh template for telling it like it is, not in an alarmist way. This is not the intent of this at all. It is simply telling the God's honest truth of what people are going to lose if they do not understand not just what their governments and their politicians and the industries within the extraction industry are blanket covering our planet with this dissolvement indeed of fossil fuel use. But we need to be able to explain to them in the most contextual ways that their entire way of life is not going to be able to be sustainable as they believe
Well,
it to
it's not
be
going to be.
under
Yeah.
present conditions. And this is one of
Right.
the fundamental things which is that has to be understood by the general public. They have no alternative now, Sandy, no alternative whatsoever in the face of what is happening with massive, intensive wildfires and flooding. No alternative but to get real that their communities are being taken away from them, whether they want to continue living this boom or bust
Yeah.
extraction economy to the death has no relevance in the situation. Mother Nature will always have the last word on how many communities are going to be left standing.
Nature
And
bats last, Robert.
exactly,
Yeah.
there's no question about that. And the fact of the matter is that Mother Nature, as I've said so many times before, she will decide how many infrastructures are going to be taken from our communities. We are just merely human beings which have facilitated an air of opulent grandeur in the belief that our own structured economic systems can continue to facilitate a semblance of sustainability in a wipeout of indeed the ecological and indeed the infrastructure landscape of our towns and cities, and indeed every other small indeed habitat across our planet where human life lives, exists, and indeed ecological life lives and exists as well. So we are looking here at a template like never before in human history, Sandy. I will not say this lightly because it is a template to bringing what I call the ultimate level of clarity and responsibility to the proceedings. We're not talking about scare tactics here. Oh no, we're talking about reality. This is the cold hard reality of the situation. You either change your entire way of seeing this entire crisis from top to bottom, or you lose everything. And
Mm.
it is very much to be taken on board in all the right ways. It's not an easy task, I grant you. But there again, we do know that changing the global face of system structures which are absolutely root, dedicated to over-consumerism. I know on your live shows you've talked a lot about consumerism. You've talked a lot about the evils, indeed, that consumerism does
Well, I'm
to
a
the.
living testament. I've been a consumer all my life. I never hide that. It's ruined my life a couple of times, Robert.
I
So
do
I
understand, Sandy.
I
I do
can talk
understand.
about that
I do.
of which I
Yeah.
know.
I do understand, and I'm completely appreciative of the predicament that you have just shared with us.
Yeah,
I
I
will
know.
say, consumerism indeed is a heady cocktail. It's a very difficult brew. At the end of the day, we all, as individuals, have been touched and facilitated to certain extents by extent by its tentacles. But I think one of the greatest lessons for all of us as a human species across the planet, if we can have that lesson, or whether if it is not, how can I put this, already too late to be learning these lessons, I will say that it is a lesson of which we need to be able to take on board here. But we do need to have this template of what I call
Okay.
ability to understand once and for all what is actually happening within our own backyards, what is actually happening within our communities,
Mm-hmm.
because we are still completely dissolved and detached from the realities. We have communities here which are completely and utterly ruined, scarred, and taken away. Every house, every car, every facilitation, every possession taken away. And I'm
I have to stop you for a second.
oh
You
yeah.
live in the UK, I'm in the United States.
Mm,
Globally, there are countries where the populace is not, even if the worst floods hit them, like in North Korea, we don't know what happens, or in many countries where the population is not even allowed to hear about the climate crisis because they're so, how does that happen? How does that work? They're the most vulnerable, some of these nations. These people are being already hurt, being on the front line, and they can't even be told what's happening because of some forbidden policy of their government or religion or whatever. How do we deal with that?
well, absolutely, very
It's a
true.
hard
It's
one.
I'm just actually looking because I've got your I don't know what's happened to the vocal, but I seem to have
I can hear
my
you.
speech. Can you
Or,
hear me?
yeah. Can you guys hear
Yeah,
him? He's fine.
yeah, I can hear. I
All
just
right.
thought we had a meltdown. I think we're all right, but I wasn't 100% sure. To be honest with you, we had some sort of weird. It went all fast. It went fast. I thought, what's going on? What the hell's happening here? But I think we're okay. Anyway, if you can hear me, Sandy, that's good. As long as
I
you can hear
can,
me.
and everybody else says
Yeah,
it sounds good. So
yeah,
let's
sounds
continue
good. All
on.
right.
And then what we're going to do, because it is time to highlight some of these comments. We have tons of them to be highlighted, so I'm going to
I'm sure you
try
know
to do that. But finish with
that.
your thought. Thank you. We're fine.
Indeed. My thoughts are probably as all expansive and numerous as they can possibly be. I've got as much to say that I haven't said that I've already shared in the limited time
Okay.
span of the space.
All right.
But my I guess my some of my facilitations of thought on the subjects will be we have the most
Okay.
difficult and the most serious road in human history as collective individuals to get a grip on with this. We do not have a facilitation of time to muck about with systems or the facilitation of what I call the like of carbon capture and the like of other facilitations to do with pretending that you are doing something to instigate the proper action on the climate emergency. That is out. So I'm afraid to
Okay.
say that that must be put to bed once and for all. The facilitation of sustainability at all levels, yes, because it's absolutely paramount now in the structured development of what I call brand new green thinking across the board. I think we both know that one of the greatest problems is with this green new movement of solar and wind is that it is not being put out on a global scale nearly fast enough. And This is one of the greatest problems that we continue to face. We have indeed in the African continent alone, as you know, not just a difficulty with putting in mass wind and solar sustainability, we have a difficulty with even implementing the cost for the African people with the right direction, the right policy commitment, and the right determination within that. And bearing in mind that large swathes of the African continent, I'm touching on that because it is to my mind, the major continent talking point when we think about not just extreme starvation and drought on a mass scale of billions, but we also think about the fact that there are so many African people that do not have the facilitated availability of electricity or light, never
Right.
mind, or food, never mind about being able to afford solar panels.
Right.
So, indeed, the global south is suffering immeasurably, of which it will continue to do so. I blame, indeed, the lack of cooperation on a global scale of policy facilitation. I'm not just going to blame the African governments. It is not just down to them.
Oh
It is
no.
down now to an unequivocal will of all policy facilitation to be able to bring those solar availabilities and actions to the African people in their entirety. There are no excuses here, and there never will be. Indeed, talking again, because I know you asked me really about very difficult to sum up an entire global situation
You don't
in
have to.
indeed,
You don't have
you
to.
know,
We can
certain
go to
facilitation,
we can go to
but
questions. We can go to people's
we
questions.
will in a minute. Yes, I will. I've been only too delighted, actually, Sandy, to actually talk with you at length about what I believe are the absolutely empirical emergency essentials of this conversation
I could
that I
listen
have
to you all
discussed.
day. You're articulate.
It's
It's
incredibly kind.
pleasant
It's
listening.
incredibly kind of you to say so, Sandy. I've got to be honest with you. It's incredibly kind of you to say so. I thank you for that. Indeed, I think you know that I enjoy immensely listening to your broadcast live. I enjoy immensely seeing you live, Sandy, because I think you're one of the world's great orators of
Okay.
communicating about yourself. So I
This
do.
show
I
is
really
about
think
you, but thank
you've
you.
got it.
Okay.
But
Mutually
I think
beneficial.
but I'd like to think, in my own humble way, I am able to facilitate a level of public consciousness that maybe has not been taken on board before. The fact
Okay.
of the matter is that there are major, major problems that we need to address in society's structures and the way that they communicate with each other. Because I've talked about the complete disintegration of democracy, human rights, and the disintegration across the global world stage with politics. I've talked about that, but that is still only the tiniest particle of it, I promise you. We're talking about entire systems here and the structures of systems that have been in place that have been total subservient to commercialism, to indeed subservient in their entirety to the other consumerism mantras of which we've talked about, and totally subservient to every single bowing down to the establishment for all the wrong reasons and continue to
Unbelievable.
do so. It
Well
is
said.
absolutely essential that our economic systems, as we know them now, are completely and utterly cleansed. And I do mean cleansed to be fit for purpose. We are clinging onto economic systems in the developed Western world which are sending us to our graves. And the people who are facilitating those economic systems know only too well what they are doing to the public, the general public like you and me. The fact of the matter is that the general public do not know, even now, that indeed these economic systems are sending them to their proverbial graves. They need to be restructured, retooled, and refit for purpose. You will probably ask me, well, how on earth do you do that when a government, not least an American facilitation of government, but a lot of governments across our planet, how on earth do you do that? You might ask me when the watchword in its entirety for the facilitation of government policy is one to not just lie to your voters, but to openly do
Yeah.
absolutely everything you can on earth to remove the ability for those voters that have voted for you to have any semblance of a structured, sustainable, democratic existence that has fairness at the very core attached to it, when every single policy that is coming out of those governmental administrations is totally and utterly rancid and unfit for purpose. So there is a hell of a lot in place. And as I said, I haven't even really touched, Sandy, on the structural problems of our systems that need to be reworked and retooled. That is probably something that could be put into a show that would probably last
Absolutely. We have
5 to
that.
6 hours.
I actually, with what you just said, here's one question from Tommyist. Broad brush, Robert. How do you see the next 50 years playing out globally? I'm curious about your general level analysis. See, now to me it's an even or, but this is your question.
Okay, it's a fair question because I do welcome questions actually. And these questions must be asked, they must be shared, and they must be answered to my mind. To my clear, concise clarity of understanding as I see the entire global situation right now, the next 50 years will be decided by either the fact that we discontinue having mentally deranged psychopaths as presidents or prime ministers, or indeed facilitating politicians that have no understanding of democracy for the people. It's going to be a make or break here. We either continue putting in people in power in our governments that have no collective responsibility for you, the people, and see the dissolvement of our societies. Because my views are this, and I've looked at many views from some of the gifted orators on this X platform, professors, gifted professors, and gifted communicators of scientific data. And I will say this, that I honestly and truly believe that the economic paths and systems of which we have in place globally in the developed Western world at the moment, I believe it will indeed come to a crashing collapse, indeed, that has been forecast by 2050. I am sorry to be the bringer of those words, but I do wholeheartedly believe that that will happen unless, and I will say unless, we stop putting people into governmental administrations that want to crucify, obliterate, and annihilate our planet, Mother Nature, the ecological and environmental systems of our planet in their entirety. Because once you annihilate in the entire life support systems of a planet, you annihilate the human species as well, pretty much anyway. And you certainly annihilate the ability for the human species to be able to live in the ways of which we continue to think laughingly that we can live within our collective communities at the present time. Everything has to change here. We need policies that are dedicated to the greater survival on a global stage platform of absolutely everything. And I do mean policies that have the root core of democracy, human rights, ecological and environmental safeguarding to the very core like never before. We cannot think for 1 second that the safeguarding of our societies will be assured if we take every last forest tree and particle of plant and foliage matter and indeed turn our oceans into what I call completely annihilated tanks of dead life in their entirety. I'm sorry, but it is not going to be an outlook of which us as a human species are going to be able to look at the next 50 years along the economic and societal paths of which we continue to walk now. It is absolutely not on the cards to my mind. So I hope that answers that question of a time scale about what I think. It doesn't have to be like that. Let me put that out there
Didn't.
right now.
No.
If the right systems, facilitations, and the right policy facilitations are put within the consecutive governments right now, not just across our entire developed Western world, but across all governmental facilitations that are solely and woefully lacking for the people in their entirety. If the right policy facilitation, if the right environmental responsibility is absolutely paramount across the scale, we can turn this around. I'm not saying otherwise. I never have done. I'm speaking about the deep entrenched ills of what colonialism and capitalism has done collectively to our societies across this planet. So I hope that answers a little bit of that question of what I see as a
I think
timescale,
so.
rather survival or not.
Your
You know.
passion is it's needed. At least I needed it. Your passion's great. That's a big part of me of the
Mm,
Climate Crisis Club. There's several people that I love. Andrea from
mm,
Singapore, and love listening to Kim. And I'm
yeah,
grateful. Saturday is
yeah.
a good day for me to listen to the world, and I don't have to leave
It's a
my
wonderful
house.
life space.
I'm not burning fossil fuels except for biofuels with the firewood. But let
Yeah.
us move because um, we're going to go back to humor. Comment from Bird Singing One. Yes, humor and wit make us carry on with brain cells, relieve the obvious tension, all serious topics burden. So thank you. Cheers. Thank you. I don't know where you're coming in from, but thank you
Yeah,
because it's nice to see some of the nice comments too. Um, to let's see. Hi, dog dude. Well, let's see. No, it's can't imagine our changing course to any degrees. We are cooked, but it's all what we do in between being on the frying pan and getting thrown in the fire. We're still in an in between and a
yeah,
geologic scale. And Robert, I like that.
yeah. I
I
do like
do.
that. I love that actually. I will say that at the end of the day, here, these observations of content that I put out here in this live space, it's either going to be listened to or it's not going to be listened to at the end
Right.
of the day. You cannot instill wisdom into a human species or people if they do not want to take that wisdom on board. That is one of the
Unless they're
fundamental
forced.
values.
Unless they're forced. And
Well, this is
but they're
it.
allowed to by their government. I mean, I was
Exactly.
watching, let me
Under his
just
that as
bring this
well.
up. We're going to go over
Right.
an hour and a half. I was watching a travel vlogger lately. That's my thing. And he
Yeah.
went to visit China, and he went over the Great Wall to look at North Korea. And what struck me is that there was construction going on in the waterway. I don't know the name exactly where they were. The North Koreans were reconstructing after a great flood. And I know we documented those floods 2 years ago that were in China and went to North Korea. And they were rebuilding there. What in their culture, these are in things that happen. We have no idea what the people of North Korea are even allowed to understand about the floods, about the rebuilding. This is a big problem for me. It's just,
It is.
not to be able to get to these closed societies so that those people have at least understanding when things just happen to them like this.
Mm. Absolutely, Sandy. This is a great
Yeah.
facilitation of intent of this situation you just brought up here. I will say that my views exactly share with you. There is what I call a facilitated blackout of truth that is not being told to the North Korean people about so many things, be it environment, be it about issues that affect their communities as a whole, issues that affect their ability to have any semblance of human rights. I think
Right.
we both know the problem with the lack of human rights and the dumbing down, indeed, with the entire North Korean culture in its
But it's
entirety,
so
thanks
much
to the government.
suffering. There's
I
going to
know.
be so much suffering, and there is so much suffering now. I suppose I'm an armchair warrior in this. I suffer in different ways, but just to see humanity, and then all the sentient beings everywhere else, and what's going to happen to the Amazon and all of those species there when they just start ritualistically taking it away from us. It's
Yeah,
overwhelming. It is
it is.
overwhelming. And I sit here in a house with a warm wood stove and looking out at the snow from an angle that I am so privileged, even though I think I'm falling apart, compared to what I see, and I don't have to travel to see it.
I do
It's
what you're
really
saying, Dan. I
amazing.
really do. It's not. There's
That's
absolutely
what we're
no question that
witnessing,
we-
the
we're
suffering.
both of us. Yeah, both of us are privileged individuals in our own,
I
developed fields.
Yeah, I
Uh,
want to I want to give a comment. I have to let this comment come out. Where did I? Oh, I hope I Kelly said it's not our fault. It's not, I mean, we can't just blame it on everybody. I mean, yes, people are idiots, or whatever they subscribe to, but in the overrun, it's a
Yeah,
system's fault, right? Just
it is.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, it
I
is. And I,
completely
I
agree
can't
with that.
find, I couldn't find his comment. And I have one more thing. I have to say thank you because I got a super chat, which is really super helpful at this time. And we can't see the picture of the of whatever it is. But thank you, Kim from Canada. Wonderful. That's really great. Oh,
Brilliant.
here's another one. The oligarchs are controlling way too much, including our government, for their own greed. Even though so many of them have so much wealth that they can't possibly spend it all on themselves. Big issue. I mean, that's such a different issue. But yet, you
Massive,
know what, Robert?
massive.
But these oligarchs in other countries
Indeed.
replicate that.
Yeah.
I think Vladimir Putin is one of those oligarchs that has completely ripped off his country. They are trying
Absolutely.
to improve some things, at least what we get
Uh,
to see. I mean, everybody's propagandized in every single country.
yeah.
I just see that as
Absolutely.
a big obstacle, but we still talk on to come up with this nice
It-
way of
There's some great
trying.
comments.
Oliver's here. Hi, Oliver. Oh,
Yeah, I want to. Oliver is our friend Oliver from the Climate
yeah.
Crisis Club.
Yes, and
But
we
yeah,
have another UK person, short-term gains, long-term extinction, Moon Man. I mean, Eco. Raza.
uh,
Raza is from the UK. So say hi to
yeah, a big
Robert.
hello. I am saying a big hello to you,
All
my
right,
friend. Thank
because
you
he's
for
right
doing
where
this. In
you
fact, I want
are.
to. I want to say a big hello to everybody who's been kind enough to leave comments and give you our time here. I want to give you a big hello, my friends.
Well,
A big
we're
welcome.
knocking it all out of the ballpark because I got four thumbs down. So hell, we've attracted some attention, but
Yeah,
maybe we've attracted
really.
some attention that might just have a little glimmer of a listen. Over
I
there
do
on
believe
X,
it.
because I
Yeah,
mean, yes, it's small, but we have 118 people totally watching, and that's between X and this. And
that's
now I got
good.
another super chat. Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
then, if they don't monetize the channel, maybe I could pay for one of my subscriptions to run this thing. See, I'm on the hamster wheel of social media. It is a hamster wheel, and
Yeah.
to accomplish some of the things I like to do is make music videos and all that stuff. You have to be able to afford the things to make this happen, and it's like I could give it all up and read books and just never come back. It's just hard to do that, especially when we have a voice.
Yes, I
And
know
I
what you
feel
mean.
somewhat it's an obligation. It's
Yeah.
something that we're given. It's a gift. You have a gift, Robert. And so, you're articulating it. You're using it. Thank you for that. That was insanely
So,
like generous at this time of year. I mean, wait, let's see, Looney. Holy fuck. Thank you for that super chat. Really, I'm going to tell you thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
that's
There
wonderful.
are those of you who understand, and it's not easy to
Yeah.
keep this going, but I want to. I think it's really
Yeah.
important. Singing Way, I think she might be at work, but she said no place as science ignorant as idiocracy. I mean, the USA. Well,
Yeah.
she's a librarian and she
Yeah.
knows. I don't know if she's with
Absolutely.
us anymore. There is okay. I like this. I love this comment because make America green again. See John D. Liu and the works of ecosystem restoration. God, I'm doing great. Cooperatives and possibly Ecosia, which is the browser that we should all be using when we're not having to use Chrome for all of these programs. Um, for
Yeah.
responsible nonprofit with effective results. Any other
Mm.
suggestions? We've got plenty of ways. And yeah, there's a lot of people that come in and talk. There's who is the gentleman, Ed, that comes onto the climate crisis club and talks about all of these beautiful natural things to do. And even if it's not an overall solution, it's things to do that will reduce the suffering of
Yeah.
our
Absolutely.
fellow man and other beings. I mean, those are the
Absolutely.
things that we have to focus on, reducing the suffering of those around us, including the animals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely right. We do
God.
indeed, Sandy. This reduction of suffering is paramount now in the way that we move forward here. Because we're basically collectively, globally, we're like a juggler here. We have many balls that we have to juggle in the air, but we have to find the balance through our entire ways of being within the collective systems that are already in place. And the balance of
Yep.
bringing facilitation of intent with policies that actually are there for you, the people, is paramount. For too long, across our entire planet in the developed Western world, we always bring, of course, this into the facilitated discussion, first and foremost, within American politics, because of the sheer gravitas of the collective American
Right.
clout that politics
Hmm.
undoubtedly has. America being the most powerful nation on earth, and of course, when America
Are
says
we?
something, the rest of
Mm,
the well, to be honest with you, Sandy, your great nation has been hijacked at the
mm,
moment by a facilitator of darkness, a governmental facilitation under Trump of
mm-hmm.
darkness. We know how dire the situation is for your dear people there. And the fact of the matter is that I do believe, and I'll say this right now, I think with the most skillful and artful maneuverment of the
Right.
American people in every single sphere of American local elections, you can get your country back. You can do it. But you've got to have faith in getting your country back, your communities back across the entire breadth of America, no matter what it takes to do it. You can get that fiend out of the White House. You can get his administration out. I promise you. But you've got to be determined in your entirety across the American
Okay.
landscape.
All
Every
right.
single of
I
you.
am looking for a few questions that I think maybe I missed. So we're going to start with Kim. Kim asked, "What does Robert think of geoengineering?"
I'm very scathing, I'm afraid to say, because I do not believe that the intent of its purposes is for the greater ecological good in any semblance form whatsoever. I do not have faith in it. I'm sorry to have
Well,
to say. What I
well,
make
there's
of it.
there's a lot of things under it. Are you talking
Yeah.
about solar the solar
Mm,
engineering or geoengineering as far as climate? Do you have a
yeah.
geoengineering thing I say, okay, I like the mirrors project, the
Mm.
mirrors, but I mean it's a big thing to do. But is there some kind you really don't like and some kind you specifically like?
Well, I tell you something, Sandy, to be honest about it. I've not always read up completely and utterly on
Okay. All right.
geoengineering projects in their entirety. I will level with you about that.
That's
So I don't get
fine.
bogged in with a level of, misinterpretation at all. I will say that I want to be skeptical about any semblance of the facilitations of different projects. I know there are many in place. I know. That there are those projects that maybe have more favor with the
Okay.
individual people than others, if I can put it like that. I'm
Well,
not an expert on
right.
geoengineering, as you probably already know, but I
Oh,
will
that's
say that
okay.
it's certainly something that I will not say that I've got an abundance of wholehearted joy for, because I know that there are disadvantages. There are massive disadvantages, but there are some that will say that the advantages outweigh the
Okay.
disadvantages, if I can put it like that.
Well, there's
But it is,
there is
many
another
projects.
question, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to try to get most of these in because
No, okay.
people have them. Kim, see, this expounds on where you are. This is like a kind of Kim and Dale want to know if Robert is familiar with the goals of ecological civilization being explored and seriously implemented in China. And that was Kim's was, uh, does he think we should follow China's ecological civilization? Have you given any thought to that? And if you have not, we'll do a part two.
I'd like to explore that more in the cold, hard reality and honesty of the situation. I know that I will say this, that China's expansion of its solar capacity is heartening as long as it does not impact or deface the ecological balance,
Mm-hmm.
the environmental balance of its own landscapes to an extent that it counters out any goodness that is there in the first place when it comes to this green revolution of intent. I'm heartened by the expansion and the commitment of the Chinese when it comes to green projects. But at the same time, I know that all countries have played, not least China, have in their own ways played their part in the destruction of the ecological and environmental fabric of our planet with fossil fuels, even though they are turning
The
indeed
governments. Like,
and possibly.
yeah,
So,
like the
you know,
governments. It's so
yeah.
tough to, to really ascribe blame to the poor working person in any
Mm,
country. And that's
yeah,
the majority. You know,
yeah,
boy, Rob,
I agree.
there's a lot of topics that I would like to explore in
I
discussion
would
with you.
myself, actually, I would definitely like to. I'd like us
Yeah.
to be able to talk at length about them again, if that's all right with you, at various dates in the
I
future.
would.
Certainly.
I think everybody here
Um,
might
yeah,
agree. I think that
yeah,
there's a lot to discuss here, and concepts and terms, and maybe help us with our own lives on a daily
yeah,
life to have these kind
absolutely.
of deep conversations as I've had with others on my team.
Yeah.
And this is a pleasure. This is really a pleasure. Uh, let's see what else before. I mean, I'm trying to make, well, we're going to go to 2 hours. There's just no way. I can't see how we're not. But like I said, nobody's left and people have joined.
That's good then.
And
That's all
it's,
right.
a lot of people are on X. So you have a lot of fans over there, I'm sure. Oliver says, hello, hello, hello. He just came in.
Yeah, just
Uh,
giving a word.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for more questions. Hi, Sean. Oil prices are dropping. Okay. You know what?
Oh dear.
I'm going to
Uh,
ask you before we go what we do. You've watched the show, so we do the environmental coffee house flush of the day.
yeah.
And so, I mean, we talked about MAGA, but what would you flush as I set it up? What would you flush for the environmental coffee house flush of the day?
What would I flush for the environmental coffee house? That's an
Down the blush.
interesting. Well, when you say just enlighten me for a a poor brain.
Okay, on
Uh,
Environmental Coffee House, we have the
okay,
flush of the day, and we flush
right, okay.
something we feel needs to be flushed away.
I'm
And
with you completely.
and then I
Right, okay.
play the flush.
Okay. Well, I tell you something, I would like to flush away in their entirety policies, systems, and indeed the manipulation of systems by the extraction and the establishment that have absolutely no regard for ecological, environmental, or human life in their entirety on this planet. That is what I would like to immediately flush away. All those toxic systems that we are continuing to be held hostage by.
Woohoo! Here we go. Everything he said.
Hey,
Everything he said.
that
Absolutely.
would be it.
That was like
Right.
masterful. That was probably our flushes are one word usually. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my mouse to come back to the other screen. I don't know oh, here it is. So I could get a couple more questions up here. That's a lot of flushing. Yeah, that's a lot of flushing. Flush. Oh, and flush farage. Okay, I'll do another one. I think we're gonna have a few multiple flushes today, probably, because in honor of the UK, we're flushing farage. All right.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. I want to
It's
get him first as
it
well.
looks like we're
And
going
that
to
part, the corn part as well. Yeah.
gone, gone, gone. Yeah, looks like
I'm back.
we're entering the. We've been here a long time. It's been a fascinating conversation. Maybe we should do this once a month and conversations with Robert because to me, at least, I like it and I enjoyed this, and I will think of more things that we can, directions we can go to make this heard
Yeah.
your message. Why not? This is just another
Yeah, yeah,
platform for
yeah,
you,
yeah, well,
the voice that you
absolutely.
have. So thank you. I
Yeah.
would like to know what everybody else thinks in the chat. And if you want to send me a message or whatever, leave comments. Tell us how you liked this. We know that four
Yeah,
people didn't. And let's see, we have did
of course.
somebody else? Oh, somebody came in with a buy me a coffee, but I cannot show it. It came through. Let me see if I could say who it was. It said, "This is really great, guys. Someone $5. Thank you. Thank you, someone. This is amazing. It's making me feel good because I've been not feeling great about certain things and mainly keeping this thing going. Thank you, Robert and Sandy, for the important messages and your tireless work. You are the embodiment of democracy, is something you do. Thank you,
Hey,
Linda. That was very generous. Canadian, we love you. We love you.
yeah,
Trust me.
we
We are
do.
so
Thank you so
embarrassed
much.
at the
Thank you.
idiots that are
Oh, good.
doing the things they are doing. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. But
Absolutely.
all right, so yes, Robert is always delightful. I want to do this again. I mean, Robert, you are. I could listen to you all day. So, all right, excellent flush. Yeah, Kate. Kate liked your flush. I think we're going to wrap it up with a lot of uh, the positive things.
Yeah,
Thank you, Robert
absolutely.
and Sandy. And I guess what I'll do is I'll start the music, the free shit I got from YouTube. There you go. I don't have my
I do.
subscription service right now, which is I
Yeah,
have had forever. See you. I play the social media game, Robert.
indeed.
And
I do want to say, Sandy, I want to
yeah,
thank you so. I want to thank you for inviting me on
I
here.
want to
It's
thank
been a wonderful
you.
live experience. I hope it can be the first of many.
Would be
I
nice.
hope it
And
can.
I would
Yeah,
love to bring you on with another member of maybe my
indeed.
team, like
Yeah,
Antonio.
absolutely.
I
I'd be only
think,
too happy.
oh my
Yeah,
God, a conversation between you and Antonio, I think would be a
indeed.
crowd pleaser. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to urge him to listen to this. If he doesn't have time to
Yeah.
watch it, he can just listen because I thought it was great. All
Yes, I
right, thank
welcome.
you.
I really do.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody. So I guess we're going to say good night. Let's and what is today? Sunday. So I'll have a
It is.
video for Tuesday. Video for Tuesday,
That's
and
it.
Thursday at 5 o'clock. And don't forget the Climate Crisis Club live on Saturdays. The link is in the show notes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, bring them back. There's a lot of positive reinforcement. Yeah. Okay, this is
Sending
really
love over
really
to you,
great.
Sandy.
This is
Yeah.
great. I'm thrilled. Let's not shout. We have to shout out "Divided We Stand" with David Price and Brian Weinstein on
You
YouTube.
bet.
They have a YouTube group. Fantastic people. Brian came on with me. He's been our guest. It's just great. We have a family. We really do. Look at this. Look at this. Yee! That's right. World peace.
Hey.
Yeah, because
I
no
want
matter
to
how.
say to you, Sandy, thank
Right.
you.
Go ahead,
Thank
sweetheart.
you for the wonderful, wonderful content, Sandy. Thank you so much for your
All right.
time and your energy. It is appreciated.
All right.
Thank you
Well,
so
we're going to do this again. I think it's great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Oh,
much.
we're going to have to. All right. What do you think of the climate leadership of New York State that has accelerated in the wrong? How about I do a show on that? Because I'm in New
Yeah.
York State. And I think that was a good question. I'll keep it in my mind. Write to me, environmentalcoffeehouse@gmail.com or whatever it is. Yeah, gmail.com. Hit me up on any of the socials and give me questions. I'm looking all the time to fulfill a need that may be out there. So there you go. All right, everybody, we're going. We're out of here. We are done. Okay.
Okay, Sandy. Thank
Bye.
you.